We are live, baby. Hey, guys. Thank you for joining us in another episode of Theoretically Speaking podcast. Today, we have an awesome guest with us, King Petty. Topic of discussion today is going to be really anything, but particularly entrepreneurship, as Mr. Petty just purchased his own business. And you're only, how old are you?
I'm only 28.
Man, he's only 28 years old and just purchased his first business. So yeah, it could go in any which way, but yeah, that's what we're gonna be talking about. As always, later on after this is done, I'll be uploading the video to YouTube, Spotify. So share with your friends after that. Share the link if you can, and I hope you guys enjoy what we have to talk about today. If you wanna have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the comment box. I'm gonna try to be looking at them while we're live right here. So if I look away, that's what I'm looking at. I'm gonna try to the best of my ability, be looking at those comments. But anyways, here we go, diving in. King Petty, bro, give whatever type of introduction you want to.
Yo, what's up, world? It's King Petty, well, better known as Lee, from the 956. Gotta represent right there.
That's right, cub.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I'm completely excited. I'm the new owner of the Axe Republic in Pharr, Texas, just in case anybody wants to look it up. The reason why I bought this business, man, is because I had an internal calling, Trae. I don't know if you've had this calling too, but I had this internal calling that I was just tired for working for the man, It's like, I hate the fact that I'm just not in control of my own future. Like, it's like being in imprisonment in a way, It's like, you don't have that freedom. It's like if my mom gets sick, then I can't be there because I have to be stuck at work. And there's nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5 job. I mean, that's very commendable, right? But it's just, I just feel so constrained, I don't know if you felt like that too, Trae, but it's just, I just feel constrained the most of the time.
Man, for sure, bro. Dude, there's a lot to unpack just in that statement right there. That that recognition, that understanding that the 9-to-5 job is not the way to go. I don't know exactly why that is, because I've just lived in my own generation, right? So, born in 1987, that's the generation I came into. I know that my grandmother's understanding was that was the way to go. You get an education, you get a good job, a good career, and, you make great money because if you get a college degree, then in her mind, you're going to make good money and, I don't know, retire with the 401k. That was the life to go. In my dad's generation, it was a little bit different. He wasn't so attracted to the whole educational route, and he went astray, unfortunately. He was into the whole 60s movement and the Beatles and all that stuff, and it was peace and love, and he got caught up in all of that. And at that time, my grandfather owned a furniture business and stuff, so my dad had this a little bit of experience and understanding of the entrepreneurial route, working for yourself, and he loved it, and he was actually devastated when that business went under. But that business going under is another story entirely. But I think I have a unique story because I say this all the time, man, and it gets repetitive, but it's so true, man. My mom passing away when I was 5 totally changed the dynamic of understanding of anything really for me, because in my mind, when somebody would say, hey, try hard in school, it's like okay, try hard in school so you could get good grades so that you can graduate with a high GPA or SAT score so that you could get into a good college, so that you can get a good career, so that you can make good money, so that you could provide for your family, right? But when you're confronted with the tragedy and the meaninglessness of death at such a young age, it really showed me what, a person could do everything right. Because I mean, my mom wasn't perfect, right? I'm sure, I don't know, but to me, she was doing everything right, man. She had a great job, she lived a good life, and she went to church and all of this stuff, and then you're confronted with the tragedy of death at 38, and it just offsets that. So my young mentality was man, for what? I'm gonna go through all that trouble to do all that just so maybe I could die at the end and stuff, and it's a really nihilistic view and perspective of looking at the world. But this is the silver lining and the light in this dark tunnel that I'm taking you through, because I know this is getting pretty dark and depressing.
Yeah.
Thinking that at a young age was good because what it caused me to look for was some transcendent purpose in doing what I'm doing. It's not just I'm gonna get a good job so I can make a good money so provide for my family. No, I looked for a transcendent purpose, and coming out of the other end, what I understand about these things is that if you find something you love, it and right in your pursuit, and that takes a pursuit in and of itself, because nobody just knows, oh man, I know exactly what I want to do right now, I know exactly what I love. It takes some trial and error. You got to pursue knowledge, you got to pursue wisdom, and you got to pursue truth. But in your pursuit of those three things, eventually, call it the universe or call it God or call it what you will, but eventually the universe or God or your creator, he's going to give you those things. I mean, I always talk about it, right? Because my worldview is Christianity, and it's like the Bible says, seek and ye shall find, asking you, it shall be given unto you, knock and the door shall be opened unto you, right? And for anyone that seeketh, findeth, and all that stuff, right? We know that, man, bro, it's so true, man. When you seek knowledge, wisdom, when you seek these things, eventually the universe or God, again, whatever you want to call it, will bend to your will, and they will deliver to you those things. And when they deliver to you those things, man, you're filled, bro. You're fulfilled. And not only are you fulfilled, you're so excited and you're so passionate that you kind of become like a spring, bro, that knowledge, wisdom, and this fulfillment is flowing into you. And as it's happening, you're also flowing out into the lives of other people, bro. And that's what I understood young. Is like, man, that's where I want to be. And that's a transcendent purpose in of itself, because you find meaning in your own life. Everything that you get from those situations, it just reverberates and it flows out to other people's lives, right? So you're happy, you're passionate, that flows into the lives of others. And then all the knowledge, wisdom, and skills that you've learned, you can teach them to your kids or to whomever. You could be a mentor to other people, or whatever the case may be. And that what you're doing in this lifestyle can then resonate into eternity. You know what I mean? Because so it's not like you just work a job here for 40 years, you die, and like nobody really knows. It's like, no, man. And so yeah, bro, that's what I understood young. Like that's what I wanted to be. And like that's really what you were talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just being in control of your own destiny, It's not working for somebody else, just slaving away for like a paycheck, You know what I heard this I heard this definition of a job, like just over broke. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, Trae.
Bro, that's probably truer now than ever.
I mean, gas prices will tell you that. Like one day they were like what, $2? One day it was like $2 a gallon. Now it's like $4.
Bro, I remember I felt like the lowest it hit in the last year of like Trump or whatever was like $1.30, man. I was filling up at Costco, and Costco has like this gas deal for their customers and whatnot, bro. It was like as low as like $1.30.
Yeah, man. I mean, even if you go to buy groceries, I mean, everything is just exponentially more expensive. Like you can't even buy it. You get when you walk into Walmart, you can't even buy anything with $100. I'm like dead serious. Now I need over $100 just to buy groceries.
And I think that what you're getting at, that's so true, because anybody that's working a regular job right now, this is the thing about jobs, is that you can't, at least if you're working for somebody else, you can't control how much you pay yourself. And so the rate at which they increase your wage, I mean, look at the minimum wage now, right? It's the same minimum wage from whoever. And I don't agree with the mandatory minimum wage because I don't like government intervention in business. That's just my philosophy. But nonetheless, obviously, the minimum wage is $7.25. And if anybody lived on that, you really can't unless you're a teenager. And I agree with the teenager gaining skills, but that's another issue entirely. But what I'm saying is the rate at which they raise your income in order to in proportion to the rate of inflation and the price of goods and the price of living in our nation it's behind. So what we're seeing now is that gas has gone up it's doubled, right? If not more. Gas has doubled, the price of everything has gone up, the price of food has gone up. In response to that, businesses are raising their prices almost everywhere, and that goes for almost anything. But the wage or the salary that you're making at your job, I'm betting has not gone up. Not if it has at all, it's definitely not nearly as in proportion to what you're making. And so my whole point of that, and everyone said it forever, Robert Kiyosaki and all these money dudes, they always say that thing. They say make multiple income streams and stuff like that. But one thing in particular that they say, and the reason they say that obviously is to build wealth and to build assets. Why? Because a lot of times assets will automatically rise in proportion with the rise of costs and goods in your economy. So if you own assets, your wealth on its own is automatically growing with the inflationary rate of your economy and or your country. Now it's not an exact proportion, it's not an exact science, but it's pretty darn close. That's why they say invest in real estate, right? Because
Absolutely.
because the what is it? The increase in value of real estate usually rises higher than the annual inflationary rate.
Absolutely, absolutely, it does, man. I mean, even if you don't own any real estate, which is, I mean, which you're missing out if you don't. But I mean, if you buy a business or if you start a business, that your cost, like nobody's gonna pay you, right? So there won't be a cap limit on how much you're gonna earn for that business, because let's say everyone in the city loves what you do or loves the service that you are providing for this business. They're gonna come and they're gonna, like, buy up your service, and there is no cap limit to that business.
Yeah.
It's unlimited. It all depends on you. It all depends on the service you provide to your customers and everything. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that should motivate you. At least start a business or invest in real estate or do something. Just get out of the 9-to-5 grind, because I mean, it's not secure. It's definitely not secure.
Yeah. Yeah, that should. I wonder how many people out there understand that and can get like motivated by that. Like I remember one of the first jobs I had was like a sales job, man. It was like banging bushes, pounding pavement, door to door type job, man. And I remember one of them they said, hey, look, you could be like a setter and you could set appointments and you're gonna get $300 a week, right? But they said, if you run appointments, we could put you on 100% commission and your income is basically unlimited. And just to give you an idea of what that is, average range right here, you can make like such and such, right? You can make anywhere from 4 to upwards up to like $10,000 a month, man. And I remember, bro, that was so exciting to me, like hearing that. But yeah, man, it's just exciting to know that your income is unlimited, and for people that just work, a 9-to-5 and have that hourly wage, they never really are confronted with that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Of unlimited income potential, and also that excitement that they can control their income. And because of that, because there's no incentive to work harder, a lot of times people don't work harder. Yeah. So the nature of a business, and this is like statistically proven, all businesses know this, Walmart and stuff, they know that a great majority of their workers pretty much, they goof off. If they're on an 8-hour shift, they know they're only getting a very minimal amount of production from their workers. And that's already incorporated into the cost of a lot of these businesses. That's why they hire more. That's why the hourly wage of these businesses is a lot lower, and et cetera, and et cetera. So that's a problem in itself. But not going down that road, let me ask something, bro. So you're 28.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up maybe lower middle class. What would you say?
Oh, below lower middle class, man. I mean, I grew up in basically I grew up in the mud.
Yeah.
I grew up in Section 8. My house burned down. I was basically living homeless with a single mom, by the way, and we were living down in this burned down house. And it didn't even have a roof. I mean.
So after it burned, you still live there?
Yeah, we still live there. Surprisingly, we still live there, and hardly anybody would help us out, man. It was just me and her. I mean, she was a single mom and she was just pulling through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our neighbor was there. They would give us food and water. They would let us use the water, but that's about it. It was just me and her throughout our whole lives, And then she got to save a little money. She got to save up a little money, like. And then we finally got a small trailer, and we had to live outside, like right next to our burned down house, because no one helped us, And yeah, I mean, that's the kind of living I grew up in, so.
And that's where your mom's spot still is, right, to this day, or what?
Oh yeah, well no, they actually tore it down. They actually tore the house down, and they built a bar. They built a bar on it, because my mom later sold the land, like it's called can't think of the name of the bar, but yeah, they built a bar on top of it because she sold the land. But
yeah,
it was
Bro, so where we're at now, talking about like, cause I think like it's at the very least it's unfortunate middle ground, it's a tragedy, and at the very most, man, it's almost like an intentional, it's almost like a sin, man, against these kids to not to paint this picture of the future to these kids and them thinking a certain way and it not being that reality at all, because for example, I'm going to take a very basic type of question that teachers ask kids when they're young and stuff, and it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be, and a lot of kids are like, oh, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a cop, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer and stuff like that, right? They don't tell these kids, look, the majority of those jobs that you just mentioned, you might not be able to provide for your family with that job. Like if you're a cop or you're a firefighter and stuff like that, well, I know firefighters that make really good money. And I'm just going to speak generally, right? I'm just going to say, generally speaking, I know that there's some cops and there's some firefighters out there that they're very money smart. They know exactly what they're doing with their money. They have financial goals and they know exactly what they're pursuing. But I'm just saying, generally speaking, on a basic income, if your wife is not working, and let's say you have 2 kids, right? So you have a wife and 2 kids, you're either gonna be barely making it, or you're not gonna be able to make it to be able to afford 2 vehicles, 1 house, and the food and stuff that you need for those 2 kids. Especially if you're not on any type of government assistance, which you're probably not, because you're right at that middle ground where you don't qualify for food stamps, but you just need a little bit of help to just get a little bit ahead and stuff, but you don't qualify. It's crazy. So they don't tell them that. They don't tell them that, like, hey, look, if you have this dream that your wife is going to stay at home and you're going to provide for your kids as like a policeman or whatever, like, it's not going to happen, Like, you're going to need some other type of income. They don't paint that picture for you. And as it pertains to like a doctor, lawyer, I know a couple of doctors and lawyer, and I know they work a ton.
Yeah.
They work a ton.
Yeah,
they don't tell them like, hey, look, to be honest, like, hey, if you're passionate about it, man, all more the power to you and everything. Mm-hmm. But you're looking at anywhere from, who knows, man, maybe on a low end of 50 to upwards of 80 or more hours a week.
You're never going to see the light of day.
You're never going to see the light of day at that job. You're going to drive a nice, awesome car, but you're going to drive it to and from work. And that's about it.
That's all you're going to have to show for it, right?
Yeah.
It's a Mercedes-Benz, and then you're still going to be parked up in front of your work.
Yeah. So, and that's crazy, bro. So, like, in your opinion, bro, having gone through school and everything, what do you think that what they're telling us is like wrong, and there's some inconsistencies there, or they should do something different? What do you think about that?
It is, man. I mean, my mom raised me the exact same way that you were talking about. She raised me, oh, mijito, please, whatever you do, don't commit to your school. Like, go to your school and listen to your teachers. And whatever you do, just attend your classes and everything. She always taught me, like, she ingrained, like, basically the American values. It's like, get a job, go to school, pick your good degree, like a nurse, lawyer, doctor, something like that, right? And then from there, you can have job security, get into your job and stuff like that. But honestly, going through it, I went to college and everything, and honestly, I just came out with a piece of paper and a mountain of debt, like 40 grand worth of debt. And I paid it up to 20, but I'm still paying it today. And to be honest, I kind of lost passion for it when I started going to this job that I have now. I lost passion for it, man. It's just I'm like, man, why am I trading my time for money? It's like my time is priceless. Now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize it more. I mean, my mother is in the beginning stages of dementia, and I can't be there for her whenever she's forgetting things, or whenever she's feeling depressed, because she goes through these episodes of depression. So I can't be there for her. I have to, like, hire a provider on top of that just to be there for her.
Yeah.
So you can understand, It's like you want to spend more time with your loved ones. So that's what motivated me to buy this business, Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, why didn't I do this sooner? What was I thinking all this time, It's like, man, if only I thought like this when I was 18,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, man.
I mean, man, that's me as a father. That's my goal, bro. Like, I have 3 kids, and I want to instill to them entrepreneurship into their mind at an early age. I want that to be just as rooted or more rooted in their minds than what they're learning at school and stuff like that. Because I feel like there's some flaws with the public educational system, and supposedly it was intentionally created like that. I don't know how much of this is a conspiracy, but I really believe it's, they say that basically the Rockefellers heavily funded the creation of the modern day public education system, and they said that it was basically created, it was adopted off of a system that was initially started in Prussia, And that system was basically, this was at the rise of the Industrial Revolution, where they started needing a whole lot of factory workers and stuff like that. And so the basic infrastructure of the public educational system was able to raise up a generation of basically workers that had very basic skills. That's why they teach them very basic stuff in all aspects. But what I feel is that, like, intrinsically, internally, people just aren't wired to know a little bit about everything. I mean, we can, but we don't excel like that. And for me, for sure, man, that's why I hated school, bro. I hated school because I couldn't find a purpose in it. And it was more of a subconscious thing, because I wouldn't consciously think like, oh man, I want to find purpose in this. But I'm just thinking like, oh man, bro, this is boring, man. Like, you're in science and they're like, how many legs does a starfish have? How many legs does an octopus have? And, and you're just learning meaningless stuff, bro, that I will never care to learn or need unless I become like a marine biologist, bro,
Exactly.
You're learning mathematics, and, it gets to the point where, besides basic math, like multiplication, addition, and fractions and stuff like that, which you might need and stuff, but you really don't. Ultimately, you can depend on your phone calculator for that, even that too, But I would say it's better to have it, basically, so when someone's giving you change or something, you're not getting duped or whatever, just minor stuff like that. But besides that, geometry, trigonometry, calculus, and all this stuff, bro, you learn that and you take those courses in high school and stuff, pre-algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, and stuff like that. But I've never used algebra ever. And unless I'm probably going to go into some type of engineering or construction or architecture or some field like that, I'm never going to use that stuff. So why did I spend so many years of my life learning it? Another one is history. Now, out of all of them, I probably support history the most, because I think it's so true what Abraham Lincoln says, that the people that don't know their history have no future.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so true, and it's very important. But that's one thing that I'm passionate about. I understand that if a person's not passionate about that, they could defer to people that are passionate about it and able to inform them. Now, we live in a world where media lies and stuff like that, so you got to depend on who it is that's informing you, but they could always defer that to somebody else. So my whole point is that this educational system, man, it's just spread so thin, and they drill so much information into your head, and you really have no idea why you're learning it. And it's so true what I heard somebody say, like, they just tell you what to do. So you develop this mindset where you don't think creatively, you don't think imaginatively, you're not looking for any particular purpose in anything you do. You just wanna go along with whatever they're telling you to do, and you wanna get the right question right. It doesn't, and sometimes, it's so true what this lady said. She says sometimes there's more than one answer to a problem. So school is so individualized, and sometimes there's exceptions to this rule, but most times it's like, you don't work together in order to find a solution for a particular problem and stuff like that, And I remember reading, and I'm gonna end with this. I remember reading Suicide of a Superpower, where America Survived to 2025. And one of the chapters in this book, which was written by Patrick Buchanan, if any of you guys want to check it out there, one of the chapters in this book was the educational system, and he says it's so lean towards academics and stuff like that. And he says, but not everybody is an academic. Matter of fact, a lot of the data that they have is pretty much, it's split down the middle, where half of the population is more of an academic, and half of the population is a more like a trade-driven type of people, right? Whether it be welding, mechanics, auto mechanics, construction, stuff like that. They're more of a hands-on type of person, electrical,
Absolutely.
And there's a little bit of academics that you have to learn by that, but since they're passionate about it, they learn those academics a lot easier. So what he's saying is that we shouldn't be pushing everybody towards college, because they're just not built for that. What we should do is we should give them the basic skills up to a certain grade, and then give them the option of learning a trade, right? So you have the option of going the academic route, or you going the trade route. And I know there's exceptions to the rule, right? I know some schools, they do have trade programs and stuff like that, but generally speaking, it's all academics,
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think that's a huge problem with the education system. And I said, man, I think it's a huge disservice to these kids, man.
It is, man. I mean, that's the basic American dream that I grew up with because of my mom. I mean, she instilled the same beliefs into me that her grandmother instilled into her. Like, mijita, go to school, get a job, go to college, and all that other stuff, all that other jazz. But honestly, growing up in 28 and looking back at it now, I was like, man, where did I get this from? And then I realized that my mom got it from her mom, and then so on. And it's like, man, where do we get this lie from? You know, who invested this lie into us?
Yeah.
Where did this even come from?
Man, bro, that's a strong word, but I mean, what else do you call it? Lie, right? Like,
yeah, it's a lie. I mean, you don't have to go to school, and you don't have to go to school to be successful. You could just start your own business or own a franchise or something, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, or buy some real estate. I mean, just get out of the rat race, you know? It's just these people. I mean, like you were saying before, these wages, they're not keeping up with inflation. Inflation right now is at 7%. I mean, it's at 0.07%. You know, it's like, it's crazy right now, man. It's hard. It's getting harder by the day out there. So
yeah.
You can imagine.
So let me ask you this, bro. At what point did your mentality start to shift concerning what you learned as a kid and then what you know now? Was it, and what helped you, you know, shift? I know you mentioned that you read, what was it, by Napoleon Hill?
Oh,
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I started to do more productive things with my time because, you know, I just figured, I mean, scrolling on my phone all day and internally thinking, man, what am I doing with my time? I'm just invested into Instagram and Facebook, you know? And then I just started listening to audiobooks like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which every entrepreneur basically has read, right?
Bro, that book is so like mind-blowing, bro. I remember reaching that, and the Cash Quadrant and the, right?
Yeah, all of those, man, all of those. And then I read some other ones too, man, but it was basically financially related, like I Will Teach You to Be Rich by I forget the author's name, but it just basically says all the information, like all those information in the book is just regurgitated into that. And I just started slowly breaking out of that trap, man. I mean, I'm like, man, what have I been doing with my life like this whole time? Why was I raised with this knowledge of go to school, go to college, or just, you know, that's in order to be successful? Like, where did I get that lie from, you know?
Yeah.
And then I realized, I was like, oh man, my mom told me this, and then her mom told her that. So it's like, man, how do we grow up like this, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, man. But little by little, man, and even it's weird because we started having these meetings at work, and I forget, like, this happened in one of my work meetings, that one employee said, man, I'm always here at work. I dedicate so much time to this job, and I don't even get to see my mother half the time. And that was kind of an eye-opener for me. I'm like, man, this guy is saying the truth. And this guy's been with the company 40 years, and I forget what he was mad about, but I guess the employer was saying, oh, you should spend more time here and this and that. And that's when he had that little outburst. And then that was an eye-opener for me. I'm like, man, I definitely don't want to be this guy when I grow up. I mean, it sounds harsh, but you know, that was kind of an eye-opener moment too for me. You know, I'm like, man, I what am I doing with my time?
I mean, honestly, I think that's one of the best questions that a person can ask themselves. I mean, just look around society and ask yourself, would I want to be that person? Would I want to be that person? Would I want to be that person, that person? Do I want to be a cashier that's checking me out at Target? Do I want to be someone that's serving me at McDonald's? Do I want to be a mechanic? Do I want to be a doctor? Now, you can't just ask that question and just take it at face value, right? To some extent, you got to know, you know, what the scope of work involved with what it is that they're doing and all that stuff, and also the potential rewards that come from that career, right? How it is that they're fulfilled, how they feel good. You may very well, you know, want to help sick people as a doctor and stuff like that, but asking that question has really, like, I mean, it's blown me away, bro, because I mean, think about it going back to school. And I mean, I have all respect in the world for teachers, and again, I know a few teachers that are opening alternative streams of income, especially at this point concerning everything that's going on. But if you're a young person and you're growing up and you have somebody who's telling you, hey, you need to go to school and do this and stuff like that, you got to think to yourself, would I even want to be this person that's telling me to do these things, you know? Like, I like it said best by E.T. the hip hop preacher, Eric Thomas, bro.
Mm-hmm.
he said that you know his story, right?
No. I don't know his story.
Eric Thomas, bro, he has a pretty crazy story. So anyway, he just grew up a troubled youth in Detroit. By the age of 16, he was like living on the streets and eating out of trash cans and stuff like that. He's a black guy. His mom was a single mother, never had his dad and stuff like that. Pretty much had no guidance, mentorship, or whatever.
Okay.
And at some point, he just snapped and he says, "Man, I'm gonna get out of here." So he just did everything. He got his GED. He went to school. So he went that whole route and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was purpose driven. It's not just something. So it ended up taking him something like 10, 12 years to get his doctorate's degree or something like that. And once he got a degree, he pretty much knew what he wanted to do. And he knew that he wanted to be like a speaker or something. And I forgot what his first endeavor was or what it is that he initially tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
But his mom told him, she said, "Hey, why don't you just, focus on like one thing and get a job or something like that." And he told his mom, he said, "Look, Mom, I have all the respect in the world for you. You know what I mean? You sacrificed for us and you got us to where we are and stuff like that." He says, "But Mom, you're not a millionaire, so you can't teach me how to be a millionaire."
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's like so true, bro. Like look at anybody look around, right? Let's say you want to be a millionaire, right? And this isn't just about money, man. It's about time freedom, financial freedom. It's about the ability to do philanthropy work, right? Which is basically give back to the community and all that stuff, nonprofit work and stuff like that. It's the ability to do all of those things, serve your community in a greater capacity, right?
It gives you options,
It gives you options, you know what I mean? And so let's say you think in your head, okay, in order to do that, I need to make a certain income, right? And let's say, $1 million nowadays isn't anything, bro. It's like, it is, but it's not a lot. So you're like, okay, I need to be making an income of $1 million a year or whatever, And you think to yourself, and you're like, okay, well, how do I do that? Well, you're not gonna go to somebody who makes $40,000 a year to advise you on how to do that. Mm-hmm. They're making a fraction of $1 million a year, right? I mean, what's the actual number? 10% would be $100,000. So 5%. So if they're making $40,000 to $50,000 a year, they're making 4 to 5% of what you need to be making, bro. That's nothing. Who can advise you how to do that? Somebody that's making $1 million a year. And it's so true. So if you think that, okay, I want to be making $1 million a year, look at people that are making $1 million. What are they doing? I don't know any millionaire that only has one stream of income.
No.
I mean, even doctors, bro. Even maybe top of the line surgeons maybe making $1 million, maybe, you know what I mean? But I mean, even doctors aren't making that type of money.
Yeah, because they get taxed, man. The government always takes their cut, like regardless of, because in a 9-to-5 job, you're always going to be taxed. You're always going to be taxed higher because there's tax brackets. But when you own a business, you get to have like tax sheltered accounts, and just owning a business in general gives you like so many benefits, And I'm speaking with the CPA this week, and my CPA is gonna definitely like go over all these benefits with me because to be honest, I'm still kind of new. I mean, I just bought this business, but she's telling me, yeah, I mean, when you own a business, the laws kind of work in your favor a little bit more than if you have a 9-to-5 job,
Yeah.
So it's like, man, I'm excited, man. Like, this is amazing,
bro. So the fact that you bought a business is crazy, man. Let's go, because maybe some people might be thinking, bro, how in the world, you 28 years old, how did you buy a business? Was it any money out of pocket and stuff? Would you mind going into some of the details surrounding how you got that business?
Absolutely. To be honest, the name of the business is called The Axe Republic in FAR. So to be honest, I had no idea this business existed until I started doing some research, and then I passed by this building. It was like a very obscure building. It was like right next to the expressway, and I'm like, I saw the logo and everything. I'm like, man, this thing looks cool. Let me go check it out and see what it is, right? And then I went inside, and then I was like, man, what is this place? I was asking like the guy that works there, and his name is Lorenzo, by the way. he's one of my employees now. But he was like, oh yeah, we just get together, we throw axes here, and it's like a lounge for people to hang out. And I was like, man, this is really cool. I never knew this thing was here, right? And later I got to know the owner. His name is Francisco. We started chopping it up, and we started talking here and there, and then he later confessed to me, he's like, man, you know what, I'm actually tired because I got these 3 other businesses that I have to manage, I got these 3 other businesses that I have to manage, and I just don't have time for this one. And then he was like, oh, well, I think I'm going to sell this business soon. And then I was like, you know what? I just took a leap of faith. I'm like, I'll buy it from you. And then how much, I asked him, how much you want for it? He's like, $35,000. I was like, okay, well, I can do that,
That's like the price of like a car. That's like like I drive a Toyota Highlander. That's like a new Toyota Highlander right there. 35,000. That's not that bad.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and then if you buy this business, it's an asset basically. Like if you compare it to a car is a depreciating asset. It's just going to take you from point A to point B, and it's going to lower in value every other year. Not unless it's like a classic car, right? But I mean, I just started talking to him. We went through the paperwork and everything, and then this business, on average, it generates $3,000 to $5,000 every month. So, I mean, it's already going to pay for itself, like in a short year.
What is that, revenue?
Mm-hmm.
$3,000 to $5,000 of revenue.
$35,000.
So not necessarily gross or net profit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I do have to pay the rent that's there, right? It's going to be $1,400 a month. But I mean, I feel like I can definitely market it more and get it to at least 10K a month.
Yeah.
So, and it's relatively new. I also studied the competitor, and there's only one other competitor in the area, and I feel like there's enough room for competition.
So let me ask you this, bro, if you don't mind, and you don't have to go into details. If not, you could just give an example of this particular and see like how somebody, let's say somebody who's listening, they just heard everything you said. They would like to buy a business, maybe for around, approximately the price range that you got yours for. How would you structure a deal like that? Like, did they run your credit? Was there like a down payment? How's that structured?
Well, basically, I spoke with the owner, and then we worked something out. And then, of course, you would have to get.
So it's like owner financing or seller financing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No bank involved.
No bank involved, definitely, because
wow.
If you know how to talk to people, you can just work it out with them, and then also get a lawyer involved and just get the purchase and sale contract agreement signed and stuff like that, right? Uh-huh. But yeah, definitely, you don't have to go through a bank. You don't have to get a credit check or anything like that, I mean, because you're buying it outright,
Wow, bro. So was there any type of money that you had to put down, like in good faith, to show them, or was there a deposit or something?
Yeah, I just told him, hey, I just took out $35,000 out of the bank. I was like, here, I'm really serious about buying this thing,
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's talk business. He was like, okay, well, here it is, Signed over the.
Oh, so you literally bought it in one lump sum?
Yeah.
Wow, bro. Dude, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a risk on my part, but it's a risk, to be honest, it's a risk I was willing to take, because it's the most alive I felt in like this, ever since I've had this job, like, it's the most alive I felt,
Yeah.
Versus my actual job where I just have to clock in and, just work for somebody else, it's the most alive I felt recently.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, man, worst case scenario, bro, you fell forward, man. You live and you learn, but I mean, I don't think it, worst case scenario, maybe it doesn't produce the type of income, and then you can go maybe resell it or something like that. Who knows, man? Mm-hmm. But I'm really blown. I wonder what the percentage of people out there that would be willing to sell their business. How many people would be willing to sell their business, an owner or seller finance like that? I was hearing Dan Pena, and it really blew me away. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh yeah,
billionaire Dan Pena.
He's a speaker.
Yeah,
hardcore speaker, man.
And he says you could buy a business the same way that you could buy a house. He says let's say, and he gave an example, right? He says, let's say you approach a business owner and you say, hey, would you like to sell your business? And they said, yeah, I would. I'd be interested. I'd like to sell it for $100,000. Well, you could tell that person, you don't even necessarily need money. The way he said it was, he said, look, you could tell them, look, I'll give you $125,000. The first year will be interest free, all principal. The second and fourth year will be all interest, no principal, and then the fifth to 10th year will be amortized interest plus principal. And he said you could just approach him with a deal like that, and I was like, man, That's crazy, man. Just how easily you can acquire a business like that.
Yeah. I honestly didn't know that you could sell a business like that también. I just started finding out that there's people that post up their businesses on Craigslist too, man. There's also buybiz.com. They also sell their businesses. They sell franchise. They sell like pool routes. They even sell like gyms that are going out of business and everything. But those are like turnkey. You have to like they're not doing so well. So they're definitely gonna sell. They're definitely interested in selling it to someone who's like serious about it, like seller finance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I know the viewers out there may not be like, oh, Puss, I don't have that kind of money. I don't have 35,000. I mean, just go to the normal job and save money. Pretend the money that you're saving up is that you're gonna buy a new car, but save it for a business. If you're into that route. I mean, even if it's just $100 a month, it does add up. Like, trust me, it adds up faster. That's how I started. It adds up really quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you that's how you started, just saving.
Honestly, yeah, I did. I started saving up $100 a month, and then it became $200, and then it became $600. With all the checks that the government was giving out, I was saving that money, man. I was saving it, and then I took some risky investments along the way too. I invested into crypto. Trae will tell you about this because honestly, I started investing into crypto. I started throwing all my savings into crypto, and then eight grand turned into 24K. 24K turned into like 30. So I mean, it was crazy, man. I mean,
and that was what at the height of it, or
yeah, it was at the height of the bull run on the crypto. I started investing into ADA. This is not a recommendation to invest in crypto, by the way, but it was just it's just what I did,
Yeah.
Because crypto is risky. It's by far the riskiest asset there is. And I could have lost my money like that, but I mean, I didn't, so I guess I lucked out. But that's
why did you end up pulling out, or what?
Because the bull run started, the numbers started waning, and the numbers started going down. Like, my investment started going down, so I just pulled out the lump sum, and yeah, even the bank was like, you should definitely get a savings account for this much money you have,
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah, and the annual return of a savings account is ridiculous.
It's like 0.01%.
Yeah, you should pose the question to them. Is that what you're gonna do with my money? Like, because they don't. Banks loan it out.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm
but then again, they have more of a cushion to learn it out because they do what's fractional reserve banking.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not interested. I could get better returns on like something else, so like a business. So yeah, and I saw that 35,000 and I was like, man, I definitely have to do something with this. I definitely have to do something smart. I'm not going to go and buy a car, even though as tempting as it was, because you see like these Mercedes and everything, you're like, man, this would be a nice flex, but no. Yeah. I have to think smarter. I have to think like Robert Kiyosaki. So, going back to that.
This
So.
would be a nice flex. Yeah, bro, for sure. So, I mean, I guess just to conclude, if you could advise somebody that was younger or whatever, maybe a teenager and stuff, or you could go back and advise your younger self, what route would you tell them to take? Let's say in high school.
Mm-hmm. In high school, do what you have a passion for. That's basically what I would say. And even if you don't have the money now, just I'd say suck it up as much as you can and just get a job for the time being and save up all the money you can. And go pursue your passion with a fierceness, because that's something that I wish I had. Like, that's something that I wish I had at a younger age, basically.
Yeah.
Because I didn't pursue my passion until I started realizing, I'm like, man, entrepreneurship is the way to go, man. Like, I started looking into it more, and I'm like, I wish my eyes were open at a younger age when I was 18.
Yeah. Man, for me, the thing that has really opened my eyes is just and how I would advise a younger person is I would tell them pursue your passion. But the thing is, I spoke with younger people, and a lot of people, because of how they're grown up in the education system, they don't even know what they're passionate about. They haven't developed a framework at which they look at life as problem solving. See, I'm at a point now, I'm like that, bro. It doesn't matter what job I've taken, and I've taken a few jobs. I've sold cars, I've sold water ionizers, I've done door-to-door sales, I've sold solar panel systems, I've done a lot of sales. And I always look at the problems, bro. Like, I cannot shake it. And it's not that I'm negative. I just always think, man, how could this system, how could this business be better? And I find the problem in everything. And I get so passionate about the problem, bro, that I immediately want to lead and change and do stuff. And also, because it seems that I become so acutely aware of the problem, I also become more sensitive and more aware of how management or leadership or the owner is not doing right by me, right? And it might be by me directly or indirectly, right? Like, so for example, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I remember working in a business, and our customer service was pretty bad, right? Because customers would have questions after the sale or whatever, and they'd call me and they'd be like, hey, I got this issue or whatever. And I didn't know the answer to it because I didn't deal with that area, right? So I would refer the question to my boss, and my boss would be like, oh, just tell them such and such or whatever and whatever. And so I tell them, and then the issue would come up again, and they'd call me. And so I would get tired of kind of fielding all these calls and all these questions. So I just started directing them directly to my boss. And he would get really annoyed, and he'd be like, hey, don't be giving people my number no more. And I was annoyed too, because I'm like, look, they're taking up my problem, but you cannot just not answer these people's questions. You cannot, in my mind, right, you can, right? But in my mind, I'm like, I cannot just not service these customers or try to find a solution to their issue, man. I'm the one responsible. I sold them this service. I sold them this product or whatever. I take, and that's how I am about a lot of things. I take responsibility for the things that I've done and the things that I've sold, and I stand behind them, right? I find that issue in a lot of businesses. So that's just an example, because there was an issue in customer service. That issue ended up affecting me. It ended up affecting my boss. It ended up affecting our relationship, and it ended up affecting the business in general, right? And I mean, to this day, that boss has renamed. He's still in the industry, but he's renamed his company like at least 3 or 4 times. And I don't know why that's why. I don't know if the company name builds a bad reputation, then he just moves on to another name or what. But that's an example. So yeah, talking to my younger self, I would say, you know what, pursue what you're passionate about. And they're like, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. Think of something. Think of the bare minimum. Think of a starting point. I like talking to people. Okay, if you like talking to people, get a very basic setter, a door-to-door job maybe. That could be one of them. I mean, you talk to people as you're a cashier at our Target. Find some job where you talk to people. There's people that they just start making TikToks. But what I mean is by doing this and pursuing what you're passionate about, you start to find out what you're more passionate about, but more particularly or more specifically, how what you're passionate about can be applied in a particular career or a particular job or whatever, And as you're figuring that out, you're honing your skills, and then you also might discover other skills that you need to acquire. You might not necessarily be passionate about that skill, but you need to acquire it. Like, for example, I love talking to people. I love selling things, but I can't sell a home to somebody. Why? Because I don't have a real estate license. So I know I have to get a real estate license. Do I want to get a real estate license, or do I like taking real estate courses? Heck no, I don't. But I know I got to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Another thing I like doing is I like building businesses. I know that by building businesses, we live in an information and technology age where I need websites and I need marketing. Do I like building websites and doing marketing? A little bit, but not a lot. But I know that unless I subcontract or outsource that job to somebody else, I need to learn to do it myself. So I learned how to build websites and I learned how to do marketing. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But so my whole point is that as you advise somebody to pursue these skills and stuff, you're putting them down a road where they're going to start discovering things that they need and skills they need. And I'm really like that, bro, and learning how to do it myself, because I mean, it's like the old saying says, if you want it done right, do it yourself, man. I remember that's how I learned how to cut hair, man. I'm such a jack of all trades, bro. And I remember I learned to cut hair because I asked this barber if he would cut my hair, because I was getting a visit on that particular weekend when I was locked up. And it was very important to me because a family member was going to come see me. He's like, nah, man, I'm kind of tired right now. And I was like, man, I was so angry. I was like, man, forget this dude, man. I was so angry, bro. I wanted to tell him off. But what can I tell him? Like, that's what he does. He's the one that cuts hair. If he's tired, he's tired. So I went and I cut my own hair. And that's how I learned to cut hair. I learned how to do it myself. And now I pretty much adopted that perspective to a lot of things. Like, I'll ask somebody to do it. And if they can't do it for a sustained amount of time, or if they can't do it up to my expectations doing it, then I'll try to learn how to do it myself.
Absolutely.
And that's what a young person can discover over time. They can learn any or all of those things, how to build websites, how to do marketing or whatever. And you might just stumble upon something that might make you money a lot quicker, you know? I mean, generally speaking, it takes time to develop these things, but you know, you got examples of people like, especially like TikTokers and people that are singing on YouTube where they're just like, oh man, I like to sing and I like singing on YouTube, so I make this video and then they blow up. You know, you have your Justin Biebers and Billie Eilish's of the world or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so you never know where these things could take you. And so that's one thing I would do. Pursue your passion. Another thing I would do is one thing you touched on but you didn't specifically mention is like, man, start reading a lot of these books.
Yes. Self-education is key, man. I mean, that's how I broke out of that lie, bro. I mean, I just started reading all these financial books. I'm like, man, why am I so broke all the time, you know?
Yeah.
It's because I was always living paycheck to paycheck during those times, and I just got fed up one day. I'm like, man, I'm tired of being broke all the time. I'm tired of living for a paycheck. I'm tired of this, and I'm just tired of being tired. And I just started picking up these audiobooks, bro, because I don't like to read. I started listening to them on my spare time, and it just helped me break out of that mindset. I'm like, man, these guys definitely know what they're talking about. I mean, they're definitely richer than I am, so I'm definitely gonna listen to them, you know? It's like listening to people who are smarter than you.
Yeah.
Especially if it's in audio book format, like treat it like that, you know? And I just started breaking out of that mindset, and I just started saving up. And yeah, man, I mean, from there, I haven't looked back.
Bro, and what's crazy is like 90% of this information is at your fingertips now with technology and social media, and it's free. It's on YouTube.
Mm-hmm,
it's on, you know, these audio apps and stuff like that. Some of them you could get for free, but a lot of them you pay the little monthly subscription, $9 a month, I think, for the Thinker app, and you know, I think it's like $15 a month for Audible, and you could read like whatever, you know, a couple of books a month or whatever. Like, bro, it's crazy that this stuff is at your fingertips, and this is stuff that for sure they don't talk about when in the educational system prior like high school and below. They talk about it in a limited sense, even if you go to college, right? They might talk about finances and accounting and stuff, like if you go into that. But I mean, the stuff that these millionaires or billionaires are talking about, like, you know, putting your corporation and attaching it to a trust so that there's like these tax loopholes and all this stuff, like, bro, you won't find this information anywhere, man. And these are the golden nuggets. Like, this is the important stuff, man. Like, honestly, like,
yeah, it is, man. It is.
Like, after basic understanding of like arithmetic and literature and reading and stuff like that, I feel like this is the stuff that every kid should be learning.
Mm-hmm.
The way the world works, the way the economy works, the concept of debt to income ratio, the concept of supply and demand, basic fundamental concepts like that, man. Those are the stuff that kids should be learning, and then from that understanding, you know, work backwards towards whatever specific area that you want to serve in your social environment or in the economy or whatever. I mean, that's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we'll wrap this up. Bro, what are you gonna be at the Axe Republic?
Yeah, I'm definitely, today I'm gonna pick up a key and everything, and yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna do a launch this week, so.
Oh yeah?
Excited, yeah.
Where are you gonna be promoting that launch? What, on Facebook or Instagram, or where are you at?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, I also have a TikTok, so yeah.
So you're talking about this week, you're talking about this weekend, like tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, or when?
Yeah,
or this upcoming week?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, man. I'm gonna go all the way, so.
All right, guys. Well, you heard it. Look up King Petty, the Axe Republic on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is it the same? They have a website, right?
Oh yeah, they do.
It's www.theaxerepublic.com.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, guys. Check them out. Thank you guys for listening in. God bless. Have a great weekend.